Hello everyone, welcome to another In the Studio with me, Donny Carr. I'm sure most of you know, but it's so important to get your sounds right from the source. That means paying extra close attention to everything in the production process from the ground up. I mean, there's so much you can do to a sound and so much to consider before you even think about processing it. Adding EQ, compressors, reverbs, delays, any of that. There's a lot you can do before you even get to that point. So, what I want to do today is run you through some essential MIDI tips and tricks that I think will really elevate your production game and your MIDI game. So let's get into it. I have this little demo groove here. Okay, simple little demo beat there. I'm sure you noticed the rather annoying bongo, which the sound works, it fits with everything else, and the rhythm's fine. The rhythm is fine, but it is super stagnant, very robotic, stale. There's not a lot of movement, no variation. A sound like that is going to get repetitive and boring very quickly. So we're going to mute this one. And we're going to dive into the MIDI on this bongo, which is an exact copy. And we're going to make it more interesting. We're going to bring it to life. So let's dive in, shall we? And just a side note, I'm triggering these with FPC. So let's hop into the piano roll. Okay, so tip number one is velocity. Just simply varying the velocity is going to enhance your loops, your grooves so much. If you think about someone who's playing a bongo, for example, because that's what I'm using here for the video. Think about someone playing the bongo. They're not going to be hitting the bongo, they're not going to be hitting the drum at the same speed every time. There's going to be variation in how they hit it. So there's going to be, slight differences or big differences in the level of the hit, how loud the hit is. So we can mimic this by simply altering the velocity. So I'm going to just listen to this straight away. Okay, so right off the bat, I'm hearing that I personally think that the hits that are occurring with the snare are too loud. So I'm going to turn those down straight away. So the little hits that occur on the 2 and the 4, I'm going to bring those down. That's better. Just by altering the velocity, we are light years away from where we were. It sounds so much better now. It's so much more interesting and groovy just by altering the velocities. Okay, tip number 2 is variation with tonality. So again, if you think about a drummer playing the bongo, they're going to be striking the drum head with different parts of their hand. Maybe they might hit it with the palm of their hand, or maybe more with the fingers. And it's going to also, the sound's also going to change it, like where they hit it on the drum itself. So those slight different changes in tonality we can also mimic by using different samples that are very similar but slightly different. So I have, the main sample here, which we've been using and you've heard, but I also have this one, which is very similar, but just different enough. This one here we're going to use in just a second. So that's what I would be looking for. A lot of times in sample packs that have a lot of one-shots, say you have a big percussion one-shot library, a lot of those sample packs are going to have, you know, samples or one-shots that are very similar. They're the same drum, but they're just slightly different. There's going to be little changes in tonality, and that's what you want to be looking out for this tip here. Ideally, I would like to have maybe 3 to 5 different samples that are very similar like this. In this particular sample pack, I only found, you know, these 2 that I thought would work well together, and I didn't want to dig through thousands of bongos to find another one, so this will do for the video. So what I'm going to do is just play it back and maybe, you know, move some of these hits to this secondary hit here. All right, so here we go. That's nice. I think that's adding some nice variation. So the next tip is going to be ghost notes. That's what we're going to use this little guy for. I think this, you know, it's similar enough to these that I think it'll work well together. This one's quite wide, so I thought it might be nice for a very subtle ghost note. So what I'm going to do first is actually change the grid from a 16th note to a 32nd note. So I'm going to go to half step here, and I'm going to pop in a couple little ghost hits. So let's try one there, and then we'll just do one again in this bar. And I'm going to be turning the velocity right down on these, so they're almost inaudible, but they're just going to add a little push to the groove, a little flick, you know, a nice little roll here. And I want to use a 32nd note because I want it just to be a short little push of energy. So let's have a go here. If I just take those away for a second, it just adds a little flick, a little nice little push. That's nice. I think it's just adding to the groove there. If you want to go more in depth with ghost notes, I did a video kind of focused on that, so I'll put that up above if you want to go check that out and dive a little deeper into that subject. But I think these are working just fine for this demonstration here. So we've changed the velocities. We've added, or we've used multiple samples with, you know, slightly differing tonality to add some extra variation. And then we added the ghost note, or ghost notes. So the next thing, the next tip is timing. I don't want this right on the grid. I don't want it super rigid. I want to make it a little bit more loose, a little bit sloppy, so you know, we get that human feel to it. So let's play with the timing a little bit. Now I'm just going to switch this back to a 16th grid here. There's multiple ways to add swing or groove. You can use one of the groove, you know, presets or templates from the groove pool. There's actually lots of grooves to choose from in FL Studio. And I did a video a while back on some kind of cool, interesting, creative ways to use those. I'll put that up above if you want to go check that out. But for an application like this, I like to do it manually because I have more control. I could just, yeah, I have more control, and I prefer to do it that way. So what I'm going to do is highlight all of the notes that occur not on the beat or off beat, but on the divisions. So the notes in between the on beat and the off beats. So that's going to be this note here, this ghost note, this one here, this one here, this one here, and this one here. I'm going to take those, I'm going to switch the grid to none, and then I'm going to hold shift and use my arrow keys to nudge it either before, either push it forward or give it some swing and push it back. I'm going to push these back. Let's try right there. Cool. That's nice. And then I might just take this one and let's see. And take this guy here, maybe this one. And I might push those forward one, just so they're not all swung the same amount, so we kind of get more of a looser fill. Cool. Now what I'm going to do is actually take all of the notes that do occur on the offbeat or the on beats. So these, all of these, and I might try pushing these forward instead of swinging them. Okay, I like what that's doing with the notes on the offbeat, but the notes that occur on the 2 and the 4, I don't like it. So I'm going to move these back behind the beat here, back behind the grid. Yeah. Okay, that's better. And I might take a couple of these, maybe that one and this one, and I might just nudge those. Or let's nudge this one forward. Yeah. And maybe nudge this one back. So again, just so they're not all the same. It's a little bit loose. Now this like really loose kind of random timing really I think works well with a percussion loop like this, but it's something that you might not want to do on other sounds, so just keep that in mind. If it sounds good, it is good. Okay, so we got the timing adjusted. Let's have a listen. Nice, that sounds so much better from, that stagnant, stale, robotic bongo loop that we started with. I mean, there's loads more you can do. You can play with panning, and we haven't even, processed it at all. So I think we could really bring this to life even more with some processing, but that's not the point of this video. The point of this video is to show you that there's a lot that you can do to a sound to enhance it, make it more interesting, before you even think about, any EQs or compressors or any of that. And I mean, the sound already works. It already sounds nice. It already gels. It's a little bit loud, but it already works with the other elements. So there's not a lot that I think I would need to do to this anyways. And that's, that's important. It should be sounding good right from the get. So let's do a little A-B comparison here. Let's turn on our Mr. Robotic stale loop and let's flick back and forth between these two. So there you go. I mean, I think it's not even a fair comparison. Bongo loop number 2 is so much more interesting. So that's it for this one. I hope that you found this video useful. Leave me a comment or question and I'll get back to you. I always love to hear from you guys. Thanks for watching. Take care and I'll catch you soon. Bye-bye.